Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and it is time for my December TBR. In honor of the occasion, I actually made myself a hot chocolate in the Christmas mug that I picked up at a thrift store today for $1. And I am wearing my new Christmas tree earrings that my sister helped me pick out a couple weekends ago. Last weekend, whatever. Anyway, and I have my big old stack of Christmas books, and I am strategically standing here so that you cannot see the mess that is my nightstand. But if you catch a glimpse of it, so sorry. I have a minute here. I'm in the middle of baking and cooking for some items that I need to bring to our Thanksgiving feast at our church tomorrow. It's a Saturday evening, and I am kind of in between baking projects. And so I am grabbing this minute to redo this TBR video because the first time I did it, it was a mess. I was a mess. Everything was a mess. So hopefully it's a little bit more organized this time. I took some time last night to actually strategize a little better for December. And so I'm feeling much more confident about my TBR now, and I thought I should make a better video. So here we go, and hopefully it won't take super long because I've got to get back to making a little pumpkin cake with cream cheese frosting before the evening completely gets away from me. Don't peek at the messy nightstand. Okay. So I am going to begin with a very vintage Christmas, which is hosted by Mitzi, and the emphasis for Mitzi's Readathon is vintage Christmas books, which I definitely will be indulging in some vintage Christmas stories. I love to read Christmas stories by classic authors and vintage Christmas stories this time of year. But I'm also going to have some other more contemporary books on this list as well. I just want to read what I own mostly. And there are a couple of books that I have been wanting to read that I am waiting on from the library. So that's going to be my emphasis this year. But first of all, the first prompt is Old-Fashioned Christmas, and I ordered a book called A Vintage Christmas from Pango Books, and it looks like a lovely copy of a collection of stories that are all Christmas stories by classic authors. So Louisa May Alcott, Charles Dickens, etc. So they're all short stories, maybe some poems in there as well, sprinkled in. Some of them are probably like individual standalone stories. Some of them are probably pulled from their other more full-length novels, whatever. So I am looking forward to dipping into that book. I don't know if I will read the actual whole entire collection, but I'm definitely going to be reading some from there. Another option I have for that prompt is this Christmas with Anne by Lucy Montgomery. Now this was not written in this particular bind up by Lucy Montgomery. It is just pulling from the Anne of Green Gables books, the Christmas scenes. And it also has some other holiday stories written by Lucy Montgomery. So that is another option for the vintage Christmas or the old-fashioned Christmas prompt. The next prompt is A Christmas Carol. And so this is a book or a story featuring a song. And I actually have quite a few options for that. But one that I definitely want to get to is called Tin Can Serenade, which is by Amy Dykes and is a short story by her. And I've had it on my Kindle for a couple of years and I really want to read it. So that is on my list. And then The Nutcracker. And for this prompt, her idea was to read like a fairy tale based or a book with a fairy tale or magical element. But I'm going a different direction. I really want to read the new Christmas novel by Roseanna M. White, which is Christmas at Sugar Plum Manor. And that story is inspired by the Nutcracker. So I don't think there are any magical elements to it, but I think it's based on the Nutcracker. So that fits in my opinion. Then we have A Christmas Wedding. So a romance or a story that involves a wedding. And I have A Winter Wonderland by Elizabeth Mansfield. I have a whole stack of books by Elizabeth Mansfield that I haven't read. She's a vintage Regency romance author. My sister gave me the whole stack because she was getting rid of them. And I was like, well, I'll try them and see. I haven't yet. So I'm going to read one of these at Christmas time. It's called Winter Wonderland. And then the next prompt is gift giving. And I believe that the idea is books that where a gift is giving as part of the story. Easy to do in this time of year. And the one I'm going to read is The Matchmakers of Holly's Circle by Chautona Havig, which I have on my Kindle, ready and waiting. And I had read the synopsis of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chautona, but I believe that there is a gift-giving element as part of the plot of the story. That's what it seemed like from the synopsis. I do not have anything yet for Jolly Old Saint Nick. I figure of all of the Christmas books that I'm reading in December, surely one of them is going to mention Santa Claus in one way, form, or another. So I'm assuming I will come across it, but I couldn't find one immediately that I definitely knew for sure involved Santa Claus or mentioned Santa Claus, whatever. And then Letter to Santa, that was a little bit tricky because I didn't actually have any epistolary novels. I do kind of want to read J.R. Tolkien's I forget what it's called, but it's like his letters to his children, but he was being Father Frost. Editing Anne here to say that Father Frost is not what I meant. Father Christmas is what I meant. But that comes from being in Russia where they have Ded Moroz, who is their Santa Claus figure, and Ded Moroz translates to Father Frost. So my brain just got wired up in different languages and traditions and said the wrong thing. And that sounds really fun. I heard a lot of people talking about it last year. And so that is definitely on my radar. But another one that looks interesting to me is called The Christmas Letters by Lee Smith. And I actually put a hold on that at the library. If that comes in during the month of December, I will read that one for sure. And then Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is an adaptation of a Christmas movie. And so I have a couple of options. Cheryl at the Candlewick Library mentioned, and I forget the name of it, but there is a book that It's a Wonderful Life is based on, and it looks like a short story, like a novella. And so I'm really interested in reading that. I kind of want to rewatch It's a Wonderful Life. It's been some years since I've seen it, and it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. So that is an option. Another one is Skipping Christmas by John Grisham, which I've not read the book. The movie, I believe, is Christmas with the Cranks, which I have seen, but it's been some time. And that would be a fun movie to watch again. And this book would be fun to read as well. So that is a potential. That is for the very vintage Christmas readathon. And now the Tinsel and Tales readathon, which I'm sure you've heard about. There are a bunch of different hosts. It was organized by Lucy at the Lucy Chronicles. And some of my favorite booktube channels are hosting this readathon. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And they have some great prompts. And all of the books in the prompts are supposed to be Christian or clean fiction. Well, that's easy because that's what I read. So the first one is A Book with Christmas in the title. And I have so many options, but again, I'm going to put here Christmas at Sugar Plum Manor by Roseanna M. White. Easy peasy, done. Check that box. A book on your TBR since last Christmas, and that is a really good prompt because I have one that fits it perfectly. I have A Winter by the Sea by Julie Klassen, which it came out last year around this time, and I really wanted to read it then, but I just didn't get around to it, didn't have access to it actually. So I did not read it. And then my sister lent it to me in this summer, but I started reading it and I just wasn't in the mood. It was definitely a very wintry sort of book. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to save this for Christmas time. So I am purposely have been saving this one for this December, and I'm looking forward to reading A Winter by the Sea by Julie Klassen. And then another book with a holiday romance. So again, the same book, A Winter Wonderland by Elizabeth Mansfield. We'll go for that one. Next is to read The Nativity Story. No problem. We usually end up reading that 2 or 3 times because we celebrate Christmas multiple times with different parts of the family, and that reading The Nativity Story is always involved. That's definitely going to happen. And then a book with a festive cover. So I have this one, Comfort and Joy by Kristin Hannah. I picked it up last year at a thrift store used because I don't have a lot of Christmas books, and I was just, snapping them up if they looked interesting or good, or if I recognized the author. And Kristin Hannah is not a favorite author of mine, but she's also not one that I hate. So I feel like it probably would be something that I would enjoy. Now, I have heard mixed things about whether or not it's actually clean. So let me know in the comments if you have read it and if you have more information about that for me. I think most of Kristin Hannah's books are kind of like maybe a little bit borderline as far as that goes. Anyway, I have that on my list. I have a hard copy of it and I would like to read it. And then Christmas books that have a movie adaptation. Same thing, Skipping Christmas. It's nice that these two readathons kind of overlap. Skipping Christmas or the book about It's a Wonderful Life. And then Snow in the title or on the cover. And I have a great one for this that I've also been saving for December. And that is Southern Snow by B.R. Goodwin. I picked this up at a book fair that I went to earlier in this fall near me. And B.R. Goodwin is a local to me author. And she writes clean rom-coms. I think Christian rom-coms, and I haven't read any yet, but I picked this one up when I was there, and I've been saving it for December, so I really want to read this one. And then a Christmas mystery book. Another one I've been saving is A Holiday for Murder by Agatha Christie, and I picked this up, I don't know, at a thrift store or somewhere, and I have been saving it for December, so I'm really looking forward to getting to that one. And that brings me to the other readathon that I'm participating in December, which is the Christie's Missing Readathon. And that only lasts for a couple of weeks, like 11 days in the middle of December. Those are dates that Agatha Christie went missing at some point. And so it's all related to Agatha Christie. I am not going to get to all of the prompts for sure, but I have a couple books marked that I'm definitely going to get to. First of all, the first prompt is murder in the title. And so I mean, that works out perfectly. A Holiday for Murder. So, a Christmas story. Agatha Christie checks the boxes, and I'm really excited about that one. And then the next prompt is set outside of England. I'm not intending to get to that. The other Agatha Christie that I want to read next that I have a hard copy of is And Then There Were None. Pretty sure that takes place in England, so it doesn't fit that prompt. So I don't have another one by her on hand or that I know for sure I want to read. So I'm going to skip that one. And then Inspired by or mentions Agatha Christie is another one, and I have on my Hoopla app Murder on the Christmas Express, which is a Christmas version of Murder on the Orient Express, and I believe it takes place on a train in the States. So that looks like it might possibly be a fun adaptation or version of that story, like it's a spinoff of Murder on the Orient Express. So I thought that could be a fun read at Christmas time. And then a short story or play is another one I probably won't get to. And then we have Mentioned by Christie. She actually mentioned, apparently, I had to look this up a little bit, but she mentioned a lot of classics and authors, their books and their authors in her books. And so this was actually pretty easy. There are lists that you can find online. Naomi's Bookshelf, who is one of the hosts of the Christie's Missing Readathon, she has links to a couple of blog posts or articles online that list a whole bunch of books that Agatha Christie mentions or references or alludes to in her novels. And Shakespeare was one that she quoted a lot or mentioned his plays. And so that works really well because one reading challenge that I'm doing this year, the Tea and Ink Society, is a Reading the Classics challenge. And the prompt for December is Shakespeare, which is a little bit killing my vibe, to be honest, because basically everything else I'm going for is Christmas themed. And so I'm really looking forward to just indulging in all of the Christmas reads, which I've never really done before. But I have completed all the other prompts on this readathon, so I don't want to fail in December. And Shakespeare did not write a Christmas play for some reason. I don't know what he was thinking. But Othello will work because I actually started it earlier this year. I didn't read it. I was watching a play of it online, a performance on YouTube, and it was boring me, to be honest. So I gave up on it. And I think the audio was kind of poor. And I couldn't quite hear the actors. It was kind of old. It was like maybe from the 70s or 80s or something. And it just was not holding my interest. So I gave up on that and I decided that I wanted to read it from the page with my eyes, that would go faster. But I just haven't yet. And this is one of the books that my son read in 9th grade last school year. So it's the only one left that I didn't read of the ones that he read. So I think I can wrap up this year and finish strong by reading Othello. So I'm going to do that. Like I said, it's totally killing my vibe, but whatever. We're going to do it because we need to finish strong with that readathon. And then for Chantel's Read Your Shelf Challenge, my options for December, there are two options. One is to read a standalone or one is to read a book in a series. So basically, that covers any book that I read. And since my TBR almost entirely consists of books that I actually own, this is going to be super easy. So thanks, Chantel, for that nice little Christmas present. and an easy way to wrap up your challenge this year and knock those books off. So I am very excited about doing that. That is essentially my TBR for the month of December, but there are a couple of other things I wanted to show you. I also have this one, Shadow and Light by Tish Oxenreider, A Journey into Advent, which is kind of a guide for Advent. It seems like it's designed particularly for people who don't always do Advent, but I think anybody could use it. And I probably won't do it fully in the way that it's designed to be done, but I think we'll use it as a devotional with my boys for the first few weeks of December. And it has dated devotions. So we will probably do those and read those passages and use it as a devotional as we get into the Christmas season. I got this book because it is such a beautiful book. I love the gold there. Another book that I have that I would personally like to work through myself is The Miracle of Christmas by John MacArthur Jr. And it goes through, the different chapters are A Christmas Prophecy, Knots on the Family Tree, Is the Virgin Birth Really Essential, Joseph and Mary, etc. And so it has these chapters. They're in like these clearly marked sections that I think could work, like reading a little bit every day. And it also has these little one-page snippets that are about various traditions at Christmas time, or phrases, or customs, Christmas customs, and it talks about what the history of them, etc. Or like this one, What Child Is This? It's just kind of a little bit of almost a poetic little exploration of answering that question, what child is this? So it looks like a really interesting, fun read to kind of dip into, in and out of over the Christmas season. Probably in the evenings, or yeah, probably in the evenings. So anyway, I think that's it. So basically everything on my list for December is going to be just Christmas fun, and I'm really looking forward to that. I actually am also finishing up the bucket list-a-thon, and I'm going to do that until the end of December, or until I get 10 rolls. Currently, I only have 4 rolls. By the time December begins, I'm hoping to have done 5 or 6 rolls, but we'll see. But I need to do the rest of them. And my goal with the bucket list-a-thon is to read through my TBRs and my reading goals for the year. So that can be anything that is marked down as a goal in my reading journal. I have lists in here of books that I wanted to read this year that I totally failed at. Books that I wanted to reread this year that I have a few left that I haven't gotten to yet. I have lists in here of authors whose back catalog I want to read. I have lists here of classic authors that I want to read to 0. And I have a few other lists in here. So authors I want to try, etc. So anything that's in one of the lists on this book is game. Also, anything that has been on a TBR for me throughout the month of November, throughout the year of 2024, that I didn't get to is also game for me to read on the bucket list-a-thon. And anything from my 50 by 50 list of books that I want to read by the time I turn 50. So it's a huge catalog of books that I can choose from, but they're all working towards goals on my TBR. So on my overarching ginormous TBR. So I am planning to get through as many of those as I can by the end of the year as well. So I'll probably be working on those. I was working on them like I had like 3 going at a time, but I probably, as we get into Christmas and I'm just reading more for fun, I'll probably just work on 1 or 2 at a time and hopefully get through all 10 by the end of the year. So that is my final plan for December for my TBR, and I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to just reading mostly for fun and not anything super intellectual or challenging or anything like that in December. Just having a good time and enjoying myself with my reading. And how about you? I'm curious to know what your plans, what do you really want to tackle in December? Are you trying to finish up goals for the whole year, or are you just reading for fun? You're going to mood read your way through the month. Do you think you'll be reading much at all given the busyness of the season? Let's chat in the comments, and I will see you next time. Bye.